Hey, what's going on, my friends, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Victor, and today I'm going to share with you 5 things I think you should know about this super powerful new moon we have here, July 28th, 2022. Number 1, Ascension Symptoms and the other side. I'll explain those 2 things. Sometimes we are growing and evolving and raising our frequency so quickly that there are side effects, emotional side effects, mental side effects, physical side effects. So right now, because it's one of those times where the planet is going through kind of a jump, like an upgrade vibrationally, you might be feeling it in your body and wondering why. Like, why am I sleeping well and waking up exhausted for no reason? Why do I have this fatigue? Why can't I sleep? I'm exhausted at night, and yet I find myself wired, wide awake, wondering what the heck's going on. What are these unusual jolts of energy running through my body, going up and down my spine? Why do I feel this pressure in my chakra regions? There's all these different ways this can manifest. One of the very common ones, I would say, especially at this time, is heightened empathy, where you feel like an exposed nerve, very hypersensitive to your surroundings, to other people's energies and emotions, and consequently it can make the sensitive empath very easily agitated. Like little things can provoke kind of a big energetic ripple in your nervous system, and you might just feel kind of like cracked open and exposed. And this can be kind of annoying at times because we live in kind of a busy, random, and sometimes chaotic reality and world. We have to go to work and do things of that nature. But this sensitivity, as I always say, is a blessing, because sensitivity is synonymous with increased awareness, increased ability to see and perceive stuff that normally you can't. There is a bit of a side effect, yes, but the benefit is priceless. And one of the things you also might notice, aligning with this sort of theme, is you are able to pierce into the other side. Now, what does that even mean? This can mean a lot of different things. Right now, we are living in this sort of cloaked physical reality. But there is a much grander, more vast and mysterious reality that we are simultaneously existing in, that are when we're normally not aware of it, we're normally not experiencing it. But during these times of ascension acceleration and hypersensitivity, we can sometimes perceive into this grander reality. And it's going to be different for everybody based upon where you are in your journey and what's relevant for you. For example, what's been happening with me for the last few months is my dreams. I've been able to, almost like people and even pets I've known in this life that have died, they're in my dreams almost every single night. The other day I woke up dreaming about my dog Maynard. He was this beautiful pit bull. I've talked about him before. I loved him so much. And I was just like, in the dream, I was like petting him and feeling his energy. And I woke up almost like feeling like he was still there, like that really was either a very clear memory of that exact feeling of being with him, or it really was somehow his spirit coming into my dream. My buddy Derek, he was a best friend of mine. He died not that long ago. And he comes into my dreams almost every single night, literally, in random ways. In fact, just last night, this morning when I woke up, it was the last thing that I remember was Derek, and he was he was combing my hair, which was kind of weird. But anyway, I woke up, and the first thought that popped into my head as I was kind of coming out of the dream state was, thank you for coming again, man. I'm really happy that you come so frequently into my dreams. That's me. And it can manifest in many other ways. Some people are getting, sometimes you also get these like archetypal type of messages. For example, this woman in my breathwork session that I ran online yesterday, when it came time to me delivering this prompt that helps people find their life purpose, she said, and she didn't hear anything, but she saw something, and it was an image, a very clear, vivid image of the Eye of Horus. And that was her like breaching the other side and getting information as an example. So my point is, be on the lookout, or don't even really be on the lookout. Just don't be surprised if you have your own experience like this. And if you haven't, if you're one of those like really linear thinkers like me that can tend to sometimes block themselves from these type of mystical encounters, what I've learned is that the more you go looking for it, the more elusive it is. If you look too hard, you miss it. And to be open, because it's always so, at least for me, always so surprising in the ways it can come. And these impressions only come when I'm really like sort of not expecting them. Number 2, I wrote down instant manifestation / feedback. For so long, I think it was very challenging for human beings to progress spiritually because there was such a lag time between their vibration, their energy, their thoughts and emotions, and how that eventually would like manifest itself in physical reality. Sometimes there was no way to draw a connection between how I was thinking and feeling and this new thing that popped into my life. So you can't blame human beings for being so lost. But it's not like that anymore. Especially around times like this, during the new moon and full moon, you might find that whenever you're acting out of alignment with your integrity, with your truth, with who you know yourself to be at the core, it's like the universe is like, it'll reflect that very, very quickly. I'll give an example. Years ago, I had this experience where I went to the dermatologist to get a mole checked. My wife she used to cut my hair, and she noticed there was this like mole, a new mole on the back of my head. And she was like, ooh. She said, I don't like how that makes me feel, honey. And I was like, whatever, you know. And I went, got the mole checked. And sure enough, the dermatologist didn't seem to like the mole either. He had the exact same expression. He was like, ooh. He said, good thing your wife sent you to me. I was like, why? What's the deal, man? It looks like melanoma. Melanoma is like it's like the worst skin cancer you can get. It's actually very deadly for a lot of people. And anyway, I was like, God. He's like, well, we don't know what it is though. We're gonna just take a biopsy and we'll see, but it looks like melanoma. Have a nice week. Well, you'll get a phone call in about a week with the results. I left that office freaking traumatized. And I went for an entire week really thinking that there's a chance I might die. And again, this is like a few years ago. I was a young man. Anyway, long story short, I believe I attracted that experience to be more grateful and to not fret about things that don't really matter. Because when I had that whole week of thinking I might be dying, all that went through my head was like my family and my friends and my relationships. It wasn't about like business situations or material circumstances, and a lot of the things I was sort of like where my mind would go. It really was like relationships, the impact you're leaving on people, how are they going to be in your absence. It was all about the people. And I realized so much of what I was focusing on was not really in alignment with what, come to find, truly mattered for me. And I say all that because just the other day, my wife was cutting my hair again, and she said once again, oh, there's this new mole. It's not as suspicious looking, it's much smaller, but anyway, I had those same feelings come back over me. And ironically, it happened to come at a time when I was also kind of drifting in my focus and forgetting what really matters. But just seeing that the mole, it was like a whole reminder, you could say, from the universe, because I had only been like drifting for like a few days. But the point is, I was able to understand the message and get back into gratitude and alignment, and everything was better. But the point is, I didn't go for years off track. I was off track for maybe a couple of days. And all of a sudden, the universe gave me exactly what I needed to remind me that this is what's important. This is, it sort of like nurtured me back into alignment. And I say that because sometimes these sort of omens or synchronicities or the way life can unfold can be a little bit alarming. And I sometimes it's the point is to say that, hey, you're drifting. You're not where you really belong. You're not really being conscious in the way you're going through life. So wake up. Number 3 is a time as well of new beginnings. That's why I believe there's so much transformation taking place, because it's going to allow us to really break into a new chapter, a new beginning of our life. And this new beginning can be one of two things. It can be a repeat of cycles you've already played out, lessons you've already learned, or something truly new and exciting. But this new beginning is going to require you do what you really want to do. You actually follow your heart, not settle, and just do the thing you want to do. I was listening to this thing from Alan Watts the other day, this like chill step mix, and I'm gonna hopefully do a decent job at paraphrasing, but the whole essence of his message was how he was sort of mocking how ludicrous it is that so many people spend their life doing what they don't like, having a job they don't like, in order to go on living and doing that thing they don't like. He said it's better to live a very short life and actually do what you want. He said a lot of people, when asked the question, what do you want to do when you grow up? And he says, don't think about the money. What do you want to do? I want to write. I want to be a poet. I want to paint. I want to walk dogs. I want to help people. I want to work with children. He's like, do that. Do that. Because that is what will make you happy. And in my experience, my friend, it's not only that. In my experience, there's not an exchange. Meaning, when you do what you love in this new energy, you will be supported in all ways, including financially. This is not a time to settle. This is not a time to justify. What my buddy Kyle Cease always says, if you have to justify something being in your life, then it's a hell no. That's not it. That's not gonna really work in this new energy. In this new energy, it's almost like you have to do what you really feel called to do, what you really want to do, what lights you up vibrationally, emotionally, spiritually. And now's a time where you can do that and have a lot of success doing that. Number 4, it's also an important time to set boundaries with situations, with people that you know are weighing you down. And sometimes what I've learned is that we will attract something into our life, not because there's this grand message or unique message behind it, but it's simply a reflection of what we are settling for in our life, what we think we deserve, mistakenly so. I used to have this personal training client, I'm not gonna say her name, but she is what many of you would probably call a stone cold narcissist. And I trained this person for years. One, because I thought I needed to. I needed the money. I trained with her a few times a week and it was good money for me at the time. And because I just felt like there was something to learn from this person. Because it was so interesting, this dynamic we would have, where there would be a few days or a week where our interactions were very uplifting, almost because she was so randomly mean to me and degrading, I wanted her validation more than anybody else. So I would kind of put up with that. And there would be these times where I would get that, where I would feel like we're friends again and all is good. And then all of a sudden it would be this random, almost like she would be aware of when I was feeling trusting again, and then she would bite with some kind of demeaning type of low blow, but sort of subtle, almost on the surface, socially acceptable, but she knew me and she knew it would cut right to the core of me, and it would happen. And I'd leave those days thinking man, I'd be up all night, mad at myself for not sticking up for myself, mad, wondering why am I spending so much time and energy ruminating about this frickin' person? And after a few years, it got to this point where I realized there was no lesson. The only lesson was why am I putting up with that? Why am I taking that? And once I realized you know what, the hell with this person. They're just not nice and I don't want to be around them, and that's it. Sometimes we just need to set a boundary because we are better than that. that we don't deserve that. And we are starting to love ourselves enough just to say, you know what? No. Number 5, gratitude. Gratitude, when consciously summoned up in your body, it can literally take the edge off of any challenge in your life. It can deepen any good thing in your life, and it can just infuse your whole life with a depth of love and appreciation. And right now is a great time to be grateful. The other day, my son, Lucas, he's so inquisitive. He's 8 years old. And I forgot how it was brought up, but we were talking about my firework incident, which some of you know when I was younger, about Luke's age actually, I was hit by this huge firecracker. Very painful. I was spent weeks in the hospital. To this day, I have decent sized scars on my body. And it was a legit trauma, basically. And Luke asked me, like, I forgot how he phrased it, but it was something along the lines of like, how much would you pay to sort of have removed that from your life, like to not have gone through that? And it was like the first time anyone really presented me with such a question. How much would you pay to not have experienced maybe your worst trauma? And I thought about it genuinely in the moment. And I realized that nothing. I wouldn't pay anything for it. Because I can't help but recognize just how much of a positive impact it had on my life. I can't even imagine who I would be. I wouldn't be talking to you most likely on YouTube. Who knows? I can't even fathom where I would be had I not experienced that painful, traumatic event in my life. And it's easy to be grateful when things are going well. But when you're suffering with the Ascension symptoms and you're feeling cracked open and maybe even overwhelmed with life and a bit lost, and maybe you're being pulled in this new direction that's exciting but scary, and you're just like, oh, I could just take a vacation from life right now. That would be nice. But if we just come back into like gratitude, it's like we are alive. I'm alive right now. I get to feel like crap. It's a blessing to have a crappy day. It's a blessing to have challenges that have shaped us into better human beings with more to offer to ourselves and the world. Every moment that we exist is a gift. It's a sacred gift. And these are just words I'm saying, but I don't know about you, but I found that at least during this last few days, that gratitude is easier to tap into for real and sort of sustain in my perspective on my life. And prior to rediscovering this, or prior to my son asking me this, I was fretting about stupid stuff. For example, I had this little spot in the back of my head that's losing hair, and then I got this bad haircut the other day, and I was mad about my hair for a couple of days, dwelling on it. And then it's I realized, oh my God, what a waste of life to dwell on such meaningless things when there's life to be lived, there's air to be breathed into my lungs, there's children to play with, there's videos to film, there's joy to be had, and all it's available right now, but sometimes we forget. But gratitude can remind us of what's there in front of us, and it can just make life so much better. Okay, my friends, I hope you enjoyed the video. I will see you all next time. Have an amazing day. By the way, if you're going through some of those Ascension symptoms I mentioned, a lot of people are going through a Kundalini Awakening, and you might not even know what that is, but it's actually a pretty exciting spiritual phenomena that many people right now are going through, and that can sometimes really accentuate these Ascension symptoms. So I'm gonna leave a video right up here that you can check out if you wanna see it. It gives you, I think, 7 signs that you're going through a Kundalini Awakening, and it might make sense of some of the things you're going through right now.